All right, it is now 12 o'clock and we're going to be starting our live right now. All right, let's see. All right, guys, let's go. All right, so when you were doing paper one, definitely it's a no calculator exam for a reason. It's a no calculator exam for a reason. I mean, there are certain things that they'll be asking you that you really don't need a calculator to get the answer out. And we're going to try to go through this paper. And as we go, we'll be picking up some ideas and so on. All right, so let's go. Number one, as it says in standard form, 0. Let's write this. It says 0.0325 in standard form is what? All right, so some of these questions are very straightforward. And we know that in standard form, the decimal point will come after the first digit that is not a 0. So it's going to come between the 2 and the 3. And then we just check to see how many places we move our point, which would be 1, 2 places. So this is 10 to the second. If the number is a number less than 1, then it's a negative power. Or if the decimal point moves from left to right, it's a negative power. So we're looking for this, and our answer is B. Right, number 2. Express 0.12 as a fraction in its lowest form. So 0.12, as you know, can be written as a decimal fraction, which is to look how many decimal point, how many digits behind the point, 2. So it's going to be over 100. Right, so it's the same thing as 12 over 100, and you want to cancel down this. Let's say we use 4. 4 into 12 gives us 3, and 4 into 100 is about 25. So I'm looking for 3 over 25. Our answer is D. Right, so the answer is D there. All right, let's continue working. Let us continue working. Number 3, 540 beads are shared in the ratio 4 to 5. Right, it's shared in the ratio 4 to 5. The larger share of beads is. The larger share of beads is. All right, so there are a number of ways you could do this. 4 to 5 is suggesting that we have 9 parts dealing with. So then we could put what we want on top. For example, you could say the larger part will be 5 over 9. So it's 5 out of the 9. You multiply this by 540, and your timetable is very, very necessary, right? So 9 into itself 1, 9 into 54 6, so that's 60. So 5 times 60 will give us 300. All right, 5 times 60 is 300. So you could see there as you go, right? So your timetable is very good here. It helps a lot. Let's continue. Number 4. Number 4 says, all right, so number 4 says if 235 times 48.7 gives us 11,444.5, right? Then 23.5 times 0.487 is what? Now, you're not required to work this out, because if you look at all the answers, you're noticing that it's every answer has a 11445, right? 11445 is in the answer. So it's more about, do I know how many digits behind the point I'm looking for? That sort of thing, right? So you're looking for 4 digits behind the decimal point, right? Which would have been A. And another thing that you could have looked at as well is that you're looking for something close to a half of this number. This is almost 24. This is almost a half. So I'm looking for something almost 12, right? And there's only one answer up there. So as you could see, we haven't needed any calculator yet, and we won't need any. Let's look at question 5. Question 5 says 12.5% of a sum, right? 12.5% of a sum, right, of money is 40. What is that sum of money? 12.5%, sometimes it's kind of hard to look on, right? Sometimes it's hard to look on. All right, so 12.5% is 40. What we want to understand, 12.5%, there are a number of ways you can approach this. 12.5% is the same thing as 1/8, right? So this is something that we want to grab. 12.5% is 1/8, right? 1/8. All right, so if we understand that, then if 1/8 is 40, right? Then the entire thing will be 8/8, which means I need to multiply this by 8. All right, 1/8, and I need 8 of it. I'll get 320. All right, so I'm basing this on the fact that in a multiple choice, they'll use this a lot. All right, 12.5% is equivalent to 1/8, right? So you could easily do that and go. Another thing that you could do is if you get the fraction of a thing. So if you understand that 1/8 is 40, if you understand that, then to find the original amount, you reciprocate, then it becomes 8/1. You times it by 40, and you will still get the answer. So there are a number of ways. So basically, as we go through, you'll see more things. So if I know the fraction of a thing and I want to find the total, all I have to do is to reciprocate the fraction and multiply it back by whatever I got, and it will take me to the total. All right, so a number of ways. All right, there is another way that you could do it too, using algebra, but it's longer, so I'm not going there since it's a multiple choice. Right, question 6. So question 6 says here, there are 40 students in a class. 40 students in a class. Girls make up 60% of that, right? Girls make up 60% of the class. All right, 25% of the girls wear glasses. How many girls in the class wear glasses? Now, understand what's going on. We have 40 girls, 40 students. So 60%, all right? So you could set this up normal, 60% of 40, all right? And you find what that is. Check it out. We cancel that 0, we cancel this 0. So there are 24 girls out of the entire class. Now, from these 24 girls, it is said that 25% wear glasses. 25 means quarter. 25% means a quarter. So then 24, if I divide this by 4, it's going to give me that 6 girls actually wear glasses. And here's my answer on top. All right. So again, they're giving us some nice numbers to work with, 25% and stuff like that. All right. What is the next term in the sequence here? Right? 1, 6, 13, 22, 11. What I'll do is a lot of times with sequence, try to find a common difference first, or not necessarily a common difference, but try to see the difference between consecutive numbers. So what's the difference between 1 and 6? That's a 5. What's the difference between 6 and 13? That's 7. What's the difference between 13 and 22? That's 9. What's the difference between 11 and 22 and 33? That's 11. If I look at the difference between consecutive numbers, I am seeing we're adding 5, then we add 7, then we add 9, then we add 11. So what I'm going to do this time, I am going to add 13 to 33, and my answer should be there, 46. So you're definitely seeing, you know, the pattern. You put it together and you go. Question 8. What is the value of the digit 2, all right, in the number 48.621, right? So we're focusing on 2 right here. Remember, 2 is the second place in your decimal. So this is the first decimal place, right? This one is the second. So the second is 2 decimal places, which means it's the 100th with the TH, all right? So the value of it is actually 2 over 100. That's the value for that. So you can use the number of digits behind the decimal point up to that spot to understand what the number was actually divided by as you go. Number 9, the square root of 181 lies where? As you could see, we have to know a little thing, all right? Some little things that you want to know, all right? So the square root of 181 lies where? So, so you want to quickly check out some things here. 11 square give you 121, just giving some numbers. 12 square give you 144. By you reach 13 square, that is 169. You're going to need to know your squares offhand. If not, you're going to waste time in the exam working out what they are. And you don't want to actually be working these because you're doing the exams, it's going to take time. You actually have about 90 seconds per question. All right, so you want to make sure that certain things you could look at. So if you know that 13 square is 169 and 14 square is 196, you definitely can relate to the fact that 181 is between the square of 13 and 14. Our answer is A. All right, there it is. Now, by the distributive law, 49 times 17 plus 49 times 3 is what, right? So you could look for yourself. What if you want to factorize out your 49? I'm just saying, take the 49 outside, open your bracket, 49 into all of this, you're gonna get 17, plus 49 into all of that, you'll get 3. So you can see it coming out, whether or not you are well aware. You could employ a little bit of what you learn. You see in a common factor of 49, take it out, and you will see it's 49 times 20. Another way that people look at it is that we normally say 49 times 17 plus 49 times 3. So 49 times 17 plus 49 times 3. 17 and 3 gives you 49 times 20. You could look at it like that. It's up to you. All right. So now we're going in the question 11. Question 11 says, which of the following set is defined by, and this is just saying that X is an integer. So the symbol for integer is that little Z looking thing. So you read from where the X is. So you're saying X, let me write it, it says X is less than or equal to 4, but that same X is greater than or equal to -2. So which means that you want to come from -2 all the way to 4. And since we're dealing with integers, and integers are just whole numbers and the negative of them, you know, including zeros and so it's a -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to look for those. Those are integers from -2 all the way up to 4. And we're seeing the answer is D. Integers, all right, is the key thing here. That it means integers. All right, let's continue working. Number 12. So in item 12, at this place in the multiple choice, you'll see a set question coming out, a number of them. So this is like the set section. All right, so it says the shaded region. So you could look, right? So we're gonna learn some little terms now, right? So the shaded region, that is what we're looking for. And this question come like, I haven't seen this question for years. This answer is P complement, and it is given by that. And what does P complement means? It means everything outside of P. That means P will not be shaded. So when you're talking about the complement of a set, that set is not touched, right? So that is why you see it's white, because it's not touched, and everything else surrounding it was touched. So you're touching the complement of that set. The complement would be like the neighbors for the set. You understand? So it's everything except the set. So that's what this little thing here referred to. P complement. A is the answer. Let's go to question 13. Question 13 says that item 13 refers to the Venn diagram below, right? In the diagram below, U, students who play games, H, students who play hockey, V, students who played volleyball, right? So it says the number of students in each set is indicated. How many students do not play volleyball? Do not play volleyball. Do not play volleyball. So we're talking about those outside of volleyball. So you want to look at this and you want to pick all the numbers outside of this red that I'm marking. So when you look outside of that, you're only seeing two numbers out there, 5 and 3. So the focus is do not play volleyball. Everything outside of volleyball. 5 plus 3 would definitely give us 8, right? 8. If Q is equal to ABC, right? How many subsets can be obtained from set Q? Now, everybody make a note of this, that the number of subsets, right? The number of subsets is equal to 2 raised to, I'll just say 2 raised to the number of elements, right? 2 raised to the n, and n refers to the number of elements. So if I want to know all the various sets I could make, you raise that to the number of elements. So it's 2 to the 3 right now, right? 2 to the 3. That means we would be able to get 8 different sets using this. So let's look, the number of subsets. This is a multiple choice. The number of subsets of a set, meaning all the sets that you could create using those 3 letters would be 8. So we could just quickly show you them. 1 will be A, 1 will be B, and 1 will be C. You have A, B, you have A, C, you actually have B, C, you have A, B, C, and you also have, so these are all in set. These, you can get these from it. It's possible. It's possible that all of these you could get, all of these you could get, and you'll count and it's about, this is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is one set that is in every set, a set of nothing. So there is always an empty set in every set. So you could see we are able to get 8, all right? But they write it in an exponent form. So I'm saying to you, remember, 2 raised to the number of elements would have been the response. Let's continue working. A dress which costs $180 is being sold at a discount of 10%, right? The amount of discount is, I'll just quickly give you a hint. There is an idea with 10%, right? All of these questions will be multiples or factors of 10%. I could tell you. They can't give other than these stuff because it's a no calculator. 10% of anything is like dropping off a 0 at the end. So if this is the number, 10% of this is 18. 10% is 18, right? Because it's just to drop off a 0. Or if you want to say to move the decimal point 1 place to the left, that's 10%. So watch this. If you're getting a discount of 10% here, they're asking what is the amount. Without working, you just drop off that zero. The discount is actually $18. So nice. But if you want to do this, 10 over 100 times 180, and you do this and you do that, you'll still see 18. So we're saying for multiple choice, we want to grab these little skills to maximize our time. 10% of anything is to drop that zero off at the back, or move the decimal point one place to the left, and you will get 10% right there. Up to you, but you have various ways to choose, right? Let's continue pressing. 16, an article bought, so an article bought for $125 was sold for $175. The profit as a percentage of the cost price was what? All right, so you could simplify the profit. We're gonna take that 125, take it from that 175.05. So that's $50. And I'm seeing a 40% by looking. But let us say that, so when you look at this, 50. So you want to relate now. You're going to put 50 over that, and then you multiply this by 100. You could cancel down, you're going to see 40 coming out. It's up to you, right? So let us say you could go 25. 25 into this will give you about 5 times, right? And 25 into this about 4 times, right? And then you could say 5 into itself 1, you could say 5 into 50, 10, and then 10 times 4 will give you 40. All right, so it is 40 easily, it's a 40%. All right, but I could see the 40% easy. I'm not gonna stress you on that yet, right? But I see 12.5 4 times, right? All right, let's go. Let's go. All right, number 17. Number 17, if Trinidad and Tobago, or TT, $6 is equivalent to US $1, then TT, $15 is how much US? Well, definitely, I'm gonna just divide my 15 by 6, right? So you wanna do regular division. 6 into itself, 1, 6 into 15, give me 2. 2 and a remainder 3, then I'll definitely put point, right? 3 here. And then that means I'm gonna get a 5.5. So I'm looking for $2.50. All right, so I'm seeing $2.50 right there. Just straight, quick division, and you go. All right, look at number 18. Number 18 says a dinner at a restaurant was advertised at $60 plus 18% tax. The total bill for this dinner is what? Now, it's up to you. It's up to you. Now, I am saying that I'm going to use my 10% concept, and without working, you can eliminate what cannot be. And elimination is a big part of your multiple choice. You don't need to find the answer. A lot of times you need to find what cannot be the answer. You take them out and the answer shows up, right? So I'm saying that 10% of that $60 is 6. 10% is 6, and I could tell you 20% is 12, because if 10 is 6, 20 must be 12, right? So then you could see here, right, that this 18 is close to 20%. It's close to 20%. I am not saying it is. It's not going to reach 72. It's going to be near to 72. All right. Now I'm already seeing the answer because it has to be that. But you definitely know that it could not be 60. You definitely know that it could not be 78, because 20% will take you to $72 and it's less than 20. You definitely know that it cannot be 81. I'm saying the process of elimination, when you understand these little stuff, 10% is that, 20% is 12, you double it. So you know that, hey, it cannot be certain things and the correct answer jump out without working it. So we don't need to prove the correct answer. A lot of times you need to prove what cannot be the answer and you're good. All right, let's go to number 19. So number 19 says, item 19 refers to the toothpaste which is sold in tubes. containing 4 different amounts. Now, you're gonna have to be very creative with this. Remember, you don't have a calculator. And basically, they want you to find which is the best buy. Now, you want to see which one you get the better for your dollar. For your dollar, you want to see how much you get. That's ordinary, the way that we would have done it ordinarily. However, when you look at this, you're going to struggle to divide with our $1.49. But when I look on this side, I'm seeing some nice numbers. These numbers are very nice. I'm thinking that I could think about 50, like think of 50. There is a common thing here for 50 right now. If I know how much money I pay for 50, I could balance back to C. Because it's very difficult now for you to say $1.49 into 100 and try to find the cost for your dollar. You might not be able to do that. So what you want to do is they're going to set it up so that something is there. So I'm going to work with 50 ml. So I'm going to let everything be 50 ml. Think about that, 50 ml, 50 ml. And I'm seeing that to get 50 ml, I divide everything by 2. So that is going to tell me now how much money would buy 50 ml for everybody. And then I'll look at the money and know, okay. So if I divide, so basically 100, how will 100 turn into 50? Divide by 2. So I'm going to divide this by 2, right? So if I divide that 149 by 2 quickly, what are you going to get? 149 by 2. You're seeing that's up. This is 0.745, right? 0.7 and then 4. All right, so you get 0.745. So in other words, 74.745 cents or dollar, if you want to say, $0.745 would be paying for that. Now let's see how much for the next one. How does a 150 change to 50? I'll have to divide by 3. But it's easier to divide by 3 and 2 than to do the other division, right? So I'm thinking about $2.25 divided by 3. And I'm going to get, all right, let me put it at the side because that's kind of close. If I divide this by 3, 21, you're getting 7 and 3, 1. So you get, see, 0.75. So already, I'm seeing where this one is more expensive, you know, because 75 cents is giving me 50. And this one is 74, basically 74 cents giving me 50. So that means the 74 better. Already, you're seeing one of them is off. This can't be the answer any at all because it's already more expensive than the other one. Let's check this one out. How does a 200 turn into 50? By dividing by 4. So if I divide this money by 4, I can relate, right? So you're talking about $2.50. $2.50, kind of very easy to divide by 4. All right, so you're dividing this by 4, you get 8, right? Remainder 1, you get 2. All right, so I'm getting like 0.8, right? 0.8. All right, so let's double check that. $2.50 divided by 4. And we're getting, oh, it's 0.6 because I'm saying, where did I get 8? This is a 6. This is a 6. 6, 4 is 24. All right, good. So this is 0.6. So this looks good. So far, this is out because this one is actually cheap already because 60. This is actually saying $0.625 give me 50. This is the cheapest one so far. Let's check the last one now. So this is winning already. Check the last one. How does the 250 change into 50? You divide by 5. That means if you divide this by 5. So if you divide the $3.49 by 5. All right, let me put it at the side here. $3.49, divide this by 5. I'm seeing a 0.6, yeah? 60, and then a 4. And then this is going to be the problem. 9,545, I'm seeing 9. So this is more expensive than the other one. So this is 0.62, this is 0.69. This is the cheapest right now. I'll spend less money to get the same amount for here. So the one with this is the cheapest. Now, this one is one of those that you have to work on. Every now and then, you'll find some of them you're going to have to employ some working. The reason why I took that route was because if I was to divide the $1.49 into 100 and the $2.25 into 150, that's going to be rough. But it is kind of easier. They would set it up, they'll know, all right, that it's rough because they're not using a calculator. So they're going to set it up that you can find a common ground and then use it to help you. So every now and then, one of the questions might take you a little bit more than the regular time. And that is why you want to maximize the time with the other questions, all right? All right, but if you see the same question come back, why not? Just click the answer and move. It says, Mary invested $200 for 3 years, right? $200 for 3 years at 5% per annum. John invested $300 at the same rate. So you're talking about same rate, 5, right? If they both receive the same money in interest, for how long did John invest? If I were you, I want to set up 2 things. So interest, remember what interest is? Simple interest is actually, let me write it right here. Simple interest is your principal times the rate times the time over 100. I'm just saying, that is simple interest, basically. So you want to take a quick look at what's going on. It's up to you. So you could say Mary, let us set up Mary on the left and John on the right. So we're going to put Mary over here. We're going to put John over here. They would get the same interest. So in other words then, for Mary, 200 times 3 times 5 over 100, that's Mary's interest, will be the same thing as John, 300 times 5 times some time over 100. So they are saying, what time would it need to match? If I were you, I'll just do a quick cancel. Look, this cancel that, this cancel that. So on the left side, what are you looking at? 30. Right? You're looking at 2 times 3 times 5, that's 30. And then on this side, you have 15t. You could simply see, if you divide by 15, yes, you'll get 2. So you set it up and you work your thing out. It's up to you. As well as if you think about this 2 and this 3, you could. But it depends. As I said, it's a multiple choice. Various ways are there. Pick the one that suits you the most and you go. All right? All right. A salesman is paid 5%. See what we're saying? 5% is spinning off from 10%. All right. So a salesman is paid 5% of his sales as commission. Question is, his sales for the last month is 2020. How much tax? How much would he be paid? He's getting 5%. 10% of 2020 is the drop off, that's 0. So 10% is actually 202, right? So that is 10% right now. This is 10%. 5% is half of 10. So if I divide this by 2, I'll get 5%. Just like that. 101, you're gone. No big working out. So it's all about understanding, relating, and you go, right? If not, you could do it the long way around. You could find this. Worst case scenario, 5% off. You can go that road. It's fine. This cancel that. And then you try to cancel here. You understand? So this is what we're saying. I wouldn't want to do this because too much work, too much work, but it's fine. You still can get your answer. There it is. You work it down, you still get the answer. So it's fine. So you choose the method that you think works best for you, right? And you go, because you'll get the same mark at the end. All right. If the simple interest on 900 for 3 years is this, right? What is the rate? Now it's up to you. If you remember the formula, rate, you can find the rate by saying interest times 100 over P times T. 100 times the interest over 900 times 3. There you go. So that's the formula. You could set it up, cancel down. Look, 100, that's 9 there. All right. And 9 into 108, anybody remember? 108 divided by 9. All right, hold on, my board is freezing. Not sure why, give it a second. It's gonna come back. All right, there it is. All right, so 9 into itself 1, and 9 into this goes 12 times. And then we're left now with 3 and 12. So 3 into itself 1, 3 into 12 goes 4. So the rate is 4%. So here is the answer. So as long as you know your little formulas, you're good to go. All right, you're good to go. All right, it says if R asterisk S means S raised to the power of R. So you look, then 3 asterisk 2. Now let's do a quick substitution. I'm suggesting that organize them. So they're saying if R asterisk S is S raised to the R. So if I set up 3 asterisk 2, then as you could see, it's gonna be 2 here because the R is like 3 and the S is 2. So it's gonna be 2 raised to the 3, and that means 2 times 2 times 2, and I'm looking for 8 at the top. And we take our time and we write our math out, 23. All right, let's go to number 24. For 24, we're doing algebra fraction. So what's my LCM right there? My LCM right there is gonna be 15x. I want something that 5x could go into and 3x could go into. So it's just 15x. So let's set this up. So 5x into, so if I say 5x into 15, that's 3. 3 times 1, 3. And if I say 3x into 15, that's 5. 5 2s, 10. I am looking for 13 over 15 with an x, wherever that is. Here it is. That's our answer. So it's algebra fraction. As long as you remember those, no problem. You work them out. There's no trick. Take your time and you work them out. If P over 5 is equal to 20, what is P? So this is a regular solving of an equation, right? So you multiply both sides by 5, multiply both sides by 5. So as you could see then, they're looking for 20 times 5. Here it is, all right? So they want to know if you understand the principle, 20 times 5. 26. If x is equal to -2, y is equal to 3, t is equal to 2, then x over 2 raised to the t. All we're gonna do is to substitute x, -2, over y, 3, right? So we have that. And you want to raise that to the t squared. All right, when you square any number, it's always positive. So -2 squared is positive 4. Anything squared is positive, right? And positive 3 squared is 9. So you're looking for positive 4 over 9, right? Now, if you wanted to show some working, you could have had -2 over 3 times -2 over 3. -2 times -2, positive 4. 3 times 3, 9. Same thing, right? So it's up to you. Choose your methods. Now, 8a all squared, and notice I said all squared, right? Because the 8a was actually squared. And what does that mean? If I have 8a squared, it means 8a multiplied by 8a. So I'm gonna get 64 for the number, but a raised to the second, and I'm looking for that. The answer is D. All right, so as you can see, answers are there. Try not to make errors as you go. That's it. Let's go to number 28. We're solving, right? So we have 5 in bracket. We have 2x minus 1. This is 35. Do your regular distribution. I'm going to distribute 5 inside. 5 times 2x will give me 10x. 5 times -1 will give me -5, and this is equal to 35. Here you want to add 5 to both sides. 10x is equal to 40. Divide by 10, divide by 10. X is equal to 4. So you just work it down and you get your answer and you move. Given that 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 9, the range of x is what? All you have to do is to solve this. Just solve it. And then you interpret. So 2x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 9. I'm going to minus 3 from both sides. So I'm left with 2x is greater than or equal to 6. Then I'm going to divide by 2. There it is. There it is. So x is greater than or equal to 3. I'm looking for that. Be careful. B. Look at A, look at B. Be careful. Look closely to the symbols, all right? So you don't make the errors. All right, keep working, keep working. Now, if A is equal to 3, B and AB is equal to 6, and then A squared, B squared is what, right? So take a look. If you know A, I'm just saying, just take a quick look now. A is 3, AB is 6, but A is 3. So that means this is 3B is equal to 6. That means B is equal to 2. We're just saying. All right, so B is equal to 2. So you could do your quick thing here if you want. All right, so A, 3 square minus B, 2 square, 9 minus 4, and your answer is 5. All right. So you're going there, and very simple. All right. Now, when 6 is added, now we're going to have to read these properly when you're going through this. It says when 6 is added to a number and the number is divided by 3. 6, I'm going to do mine and then I look. When 6 is added to a number x, 6 is added to a number. All right. That means you get a number already. So 6 is added to a number. This is now a new number. And the number is divided by 3. The result is 4, right? The number is divided by 3. The result is 4. Do not choose this, all right? 6 is added, sorry, 6 is added to a number already. So that's a new number. That number was divided by 3. So you're looking for this. Be careful. All right, we're going. That was 31, yeah. 32. The figure above, not drawn to scale, all right, not drawn to scale, shows the sector of a circle, center O. The length of the minor arc PQ is 8. What is the circumference? So PQ is 8. All right, 8 what? Cm. What is the entire circumference? So I'm just saying, you know that this is going to go all the way around and come back here. So you want to understand that a full circle is 360. So if I can figure out how many 60s I could get out of 360, each time I get 60, it's 8, right? So I could just say, all right, let's say you divide it by 6, you'll get 6. So you could see that you'll get 6. This is 8, that is 8. This is 8, this is 8, this is 8. So you said 6, 8, you get 48, right? 6, 8 is 48. So I mean, you could simply just look at it from that perspective. Right? That's one of the easier ways to go. All right, finding out how many times could 6 go into 360. And each time it's 8. You multiply and you're done. 33. As you could see, the multiple choice is quite simple. Getting 60 out of 60 is the aim. The competition will be very stiff. All right, so it says how many kilograms are there in 1 ton, right? And that is always 8,000. All right, so it's always 8,000. So I think that question comes a lot. So you could just write that down. That's something that you need to remember. All right, so here's the question. 250 millimeters expressed in meters. We want to relate how many millimeters, right, give you 1 meter. So it's 1,000 millimeter that gives 1 single meter. So if I have 2,500 milli, and I want to take that to meter, I'm going to divide this by 1,000. And so 1, 2, 3, I'm getting 2.5 meters. Number 35. Let's go. Number 35. 35 as you go. 1 second there. All right, so number 35, the volume in cm cube of a cube of edge 3. Now let's drop our cube right there. We could just drop our cube right there quickly. Here's my cube, right? Here's my cube. And we're talking about, when we talk about cube, you're only gonna get one dimension because it's all the same around. So 3, 3, 3. All right, so you know it's gonna be 3 to the third, which means 3 times 3 times 3. And we're looking for 27. All right, so be careful, do not add. Okay, do not add. As you're here, I'm asking you to like the video. And if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe. All right, let's go. All right, am I at the right place? 36. Now 36, it says that if item 36 refers to the diagram below. So we're looking at a square, we're given this very important information, and rectangle. All right, good. Which of the following statement is true about the perimeter of figure A and figure B? So I'll find the perimeter first, right? This is 12, this is 12. So the perimeter is 48, right? This is 16, this is 9. So let's do our quick adding up, all right? So this is like 16 and 16, 32, 32 plus 18, that's gonna run us about 50, right? So you want to make sure that you are on point right there. So that is 50. So 50, and then this is about 48. So this is 48, and that one is 50. Which of the following is true? Right? How did we get 48? You add these up. You could say 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12, or 12 times 4, whatever you want to do. You're going to get 48 there. Now you want to respond to the question. Perimeter of A and perimeter B are equal. No, they're not. Perimeter A is greater. No, it's not. Perimeter A is greater than or equal. No. Perimeter A is less than perimeter B. Exactly. So the perimeter of A is less than the perimeter of B. So you have to read and be careful as you go. A man started a journey at 9:30 hour and arrived at his destination in the same time zone at 13:30, right? So on the same day, if his average speed is 30 kilometers for every hour, then the distance in kilometers for the journey is what? Reminder. So they are saying his average speed is 30 kilometers for every hour. So we need to know how many hours, right, pass between that. It's 30 kilometers for every single hour. So we can use this 30 kilometers every hour to know. I need to know how many hours. So depending on how you want to check it, you're talking about 13:30. You want to take 9:30 out of that. Take it out of that, you get about 4. So if you want to check, you could say 9:30 to 10:30, 10:30 to 11:30, 11:30 to 12:30, 12:30 to 1:30 or 13:30. That's 4 hours. All right, so I'm looking at it now. 30 kilometers per hour, and we did 4. So that's 120. Very easy, very simply done. No stress. All right, so that's 120. All right. All right, let's see. That's 37. We're at 38. And 38 says that item 38 refers to the diagram below. It says the figure above not drawn to scale consists of a triangle resting on a square. So we have those information of a side length 5. So this is 5. This is 5. That means this is 5. It's a square. The height of the triangle is 4. What is the total area? So basically, you want to find the area of the triangle as well as the area of the square. So quickly, area of the triangle is going to be half base times height. And it's half times 5 times 4. 5 4 is 20. Half of 20 is giving me 10. So this is 10 cm square. And then this is a square. 5 times 5 is going to give me 25. So I'm going to be adding 25 plus 10. I'm looking for 35 as my answer, and it is at A. All right, so that's the area of the entire thing, area of the square plus the area of that triangle. All right, let's go. 39. 39 says, diagram not drawn to scale shows the cylinder of radius 3 and height 8. What is the volume? Now, the volume is given to you by them in the formula sheet. The volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. Obviously, pi is in the answer, so I'm not going to put any 22/7. I'm going to say volume is pi times r, which is 3 times r times 8. So now I'm working on pi times 9/8 is about 72. And then I'll pick this. Here it is, 72 with a pi. There you go. 72 pi, and you're gone. So don't overwork. Always take a quick look at the questions. Look back at your responses so you don't work unnecessarily. All right, you're jumping at number 40. On leaving Trinidad, the time was 23 hours, right? When he arrived at his destination in the same time zone, the next day, his watch was 3. How many hours did the flight take? You could check this because you could check this. So this is like up in the night. So this is gonna take you to 12 midnight. It's gonna reset at 00. So that's 1 hour. Then you go to 1. That's the next hour. Then you go to 2. That's the next hour. Then you go to 3. That's the next hour. So you would have passed 4 hours right there. All right. So remember though that in the AM, your regular counting is 1, 2, 3. So this is AM. And when you see the 24-hour passes 12, when you get 13, you're in the PM. So this was already in the night coming into morning. So it's 4 hours. Don't choose 16. All right. Careful. All right. Item 41. 4, 7, 8, 4, 7, 10, 18, 18, 27. What is the mode of the numbers, right? The mode of the numbers is what? The most frequently occurred thing up here is 18. The mode is always the most frequently occurred score. So we have 18 here. Moving on. So this is the statistics section. It says here, the bar graph shows the age of children, right? Who took part in a survey. How many children took part in the survey? Look at the axis. It will tell you the number of children is on that side. And this is the age, all right? But this is the number of them. So we're talking about 4-year-old. How many? We got 3. 4-year-olds have 3 there. 5-year-old, I have 4. Yeah? 6-year-old, I have 2. 7-year-old, I have 5. 8-year-old, I have 1. So I want you to interpret. This is their age, and then the number of them at that age. So we need to add this number up. 3 plus 4, 7, plus 2, 9. All right, and 9 and 6 will give me 15. So there it is. We have 15 of them dealing with right now. So the answer right there is 15. All right, continue working. All right, it says, in a class of 20 students, 12 are girls. What is the probability that a student chosen at random is a boy, right? Now, if we are talking about 20 and 12 are girls, I need to know how many boys are there. So I'll take the girls from the total, I'll get 8. So if I'm to choose a boy, I have a chance of 8 out of 20, all right? And if that is not there, you find a more, answer that was rounded off, but it's there, 8 out of 20. So don't just grab the number and find the answer. Read what they want. Boys we're talking, and there were 8 boys in that class. Continue. 44. 44 says the pie chart below, drawn to scale shows, watch what I said, the pie chart below, drawn to scale, not drawn to scale, it says drawn to scale. So that means you probably could, you can look at things now, and they're saying you could look and estimate based on the shape because it is drawn to scale. So it shows how a student used 12 hours in studying. We have English, math, French, and geography. We want to look, right? The amount of time spent studying mathematics is approximately what? Mathematics. When you look at this, I'm almost in like a 90-degree here, right? Right? It's almost, so this is like almost like quarter of the idea. So you want to say 12, right? I want to divide this by 4. Why? Because math is a quarter of the circle, because that would be the next quarter, that would be the next quarter. So a quarter is to divide by 4. That's 3 out of the 12. So we're talking about definitely 3 hours. And that is why they said it is drawn to scale. So what is that your scale mind would tell you about this angle at M? It is telling me that it looks like 90 degrees. So I utilize that and move on. All right, and pay attention. So as you could see, this time they said drawn to scale. You know, very contrary to what you normally would see. All right, so you have to be reading the questions. All right, 45. Each of the letters of the word chance is written on a slip and of paper, similar in size and shape. The slips of paper are placed in a bag, and the bag thoroughly shaken. What is the probability of drawing a letter C? So you want to know how many letters in total? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is my sample space. My total possibility is 6. Now the letter C, how many C's are we having? 1, 2. So it's 2 out of 6. And if I don't see that, can I cancel down? Yes, I can. 2 into itself, 1, 2 into 6, 3. So now I'm looking for 1/3. Is it there? Yes, it is. Here's my answer. So sometimes the first answer you got might not be there, depending on what they are doing. But all you have to do is to take a look again and then move on, right? So you cancel down and then find that. All right, I'm going to have to move this up. So let's see what the question was. So the question says, which of the following represents the graph of a function? If you want to find a function, you can do a vertical line test, right? So the vertical line test is that I'm going to draw vertical lines like this. And if I am able to touch 2 points, it's not a function. So when you draw a vertical line, if you touch 2 points that they are referring to, it's not a function. Now, if I draw vertical lines here, I'm not going to touch more than 1 point at a time. So this is okay, that's a function. All right, but what the question was? Which of the following represents a function? I guess this is the answer, because this is a function. I could show you why the others will not be a function. Look, if I draw this vertical line, it's going to touch 2 there already. I don't even have to check this one. Understand? The moment it touches 2 in the same diagram, then it's not a function. And look again, I'm touching 4, and I only need to touch 2 with a vertical line, not a function. Look again, I'm touching 3, not a function. So you'll definitely see that using a vertical line, if you realize that it's only touching 1 point in reference at a time, you definitely have a function. The answer was already A, but I was just showing you that the principle really worked. All right, let's go. Item 47 refers to the graph below. So you're looking at your graph. The straight line AB cuts the y-axis at what? Right? Now, -2, yeah, but what's the coordinate? Every y-intercept, the coordinate for x is 0. Every y-intercept, the coordinate for x is 0. So it is 0, -2. We're looking for that. That is D right there. All right, so remember this. For every y-intercept, the x value is 0, because you would have to read off like this. Let me mark it. You would have to say x. See, this is the 0 right here. 0 meets -2. That's what we're saying. For all y-intercept, the x value is 0. All right, next question. All right, they're asking us to find the gradient of AB. So we're not going to calculate this. When you're looking at this thing, we always say, if I can mark off a proper right angle triangle and I'm seeing 2, so I'm going to highlight both for you. Look, if I'm seeing this, that this is a nice right angle triangle here. The right side is 1 and the horizontal side is 2. I'm seeing that the gradient is 1 over 2. All right. Not only that, every single line that moves from left to right going uphill is a positive gradient. Positive. So these are all positive gradient. Positive gradient. And if the lines would seem as if they are going downhill from left to right, downhill is negative gradient. As you could see, this was a positive because it was going uphill. So it was positive 2. Now, if you never saw that, you could have done this as well. This is another nice triangle where this side is 2, this is 4. So if I put my rise, which is 2, over my run, which is 4, I still will cancel to get a half, and I'll still be picking that. So the answer remains the same, you know, even when you're looking at it from various angles. All right, but I'm not going to go into calculation right now because it's way easier to see the right angle triangle since it's a multiple choice. Pick it and go. All right, 49. The inequality above is defined by. Now, let's just get this out the way. If I see an open circle, it means I'm dealing with this symbol or that, okay? If I see a closed circle where it is shaded, I'm either dealing with this with the bar underneath it or that with the bar underneath it, okay? So that's the idea. The fact that I'm seeing 2 unshaded, right? That means I definitely know that anything with the bar is already wrong. This is out, this is out. So my answer, and this one is out. I don't even interpret it. I don't even have to try to understand. And even if I don't understand this, the answer is D, because everybody else had a bar and we're not seeing anything shaded for a bar. So this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, all right? So basically what you really have is standing here, X is less than that number, and it is greater than that number. But the answer was already there because 3 answers were already incorrect. You don't need to prove it in the end. You just go. At 50, we're coming down, stopping at 60. So it says if f of x is equal to 2x squared, so now we're in the function section, then we want to find f of 3. So remember now, they said f of x is 2x squared minus 1. We want to do f of 3, and that is going to be 2 times 3 squared minus 1. All right, remember, 3 squared is 9. 9 2 is 18. 18 minus 1, 17. Be careful. So let me just say, 3 squared means 3 times 3. That's 9. 2 times 9, that's 18. Take away the 1, 17. So we're flowing slowly but surely. All right, 51. What is the gradient of the line? Remember this, very important information. You can never name a gradient unless it is written in y equal to mx plus c format. It is not in that format yet. So what you're going to have to do is to make sure that you do what you have to do so the y is left alone. The y is not yet left alone. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, by 2, by 2. Rewrite this. Y is equal to negative 3 over 2x minus 4. And at this moment, my gradient is my m value. It is the coefficient of the x. It is negative 3 over 2. There you go. So that's my gradient right there. So remember, do not try to name your gradient unless it is in the y equal to mx plus c form. All right. This one is a construction question, right? So it says, it refers to the diagram blue with center A, arc B. This question has been coming from I was doing math. I've seen it so many times. With center B. So this is the construction of a 60 degrees. This is what it looks like. Take a look at it. All right. With a 60 degree, it's going to look like this every time. We'll see one arc swing and then another cut up here. 60 degrees is the only angle that you could do like that. So take a look at it, make note, right? So like this, not anything to prove. It's more of something to look at and say, oh, that is 60 degrees and I'm gone. All right, let's continue. Item 57 refers to the isosceles triangle below. Now, so they want us to find the value of the angle x. Remember though that when you have an isosceles triangle, where the sides meet that are equal, that angle is different. So this angle is different because these sides that are equal, they meet there. That's where they meet. All right, so that angle at X is different. Now, it simply means that the other two angles are the same. So 40 is also here. So basically now I'm going to take the sum of the 40 and the 40, take it from 180. So 180 minus 80, and the answer is 100 degrees right there, right? So utilizing that isosceles thing, and you were getting that out. 54. Which of the following statements best describe the property of an equilateral triangle? Property of the equilateral triangle. Reminder, an equilateral triangle has all three sides equal, which means all three angles will be the same, 60 degrees. Let's see what they're saying and pick off the best responses. All sides are equal, I agree. All angles are equal, I agree. Two sides are equal, two angles are equal. All right? No. So I agree with 1 and 2. So it's all, dealing with all, right? All right, all sides and all angles are equal. All right, number 55, trigonometry. In the triangle ABC, this is not drawn to scale. Look, not drawn to scale now. AB is 17, and we're seeing the sides that they're giving. All right, so they're saying BC is X. You see the 90 degrees. What is X? Now, set up your thing. Set up everything that you actually have, right? So this is 17 square, which is equal to 15 square plus X square. I'm definitely seeing something that I love, and I'm going to show you something that a lot of people haven't realized. I'm not going to try to find the values. This is a multiple choice. They are not expecting you to really square it. They want to know how much you know. But can you square it and get the answer? Yes. But I'm going to get the answer a very easy way. All right, I believe. Watch. If I get this on the other side, so that the X square is alone, I will have 17 square minus 15 square. That is X square. Now I want you to think. I want you to think about something. Isn't this the difference of two squares right now? So I'm going to factorize them. So I'll get 17 plus 15, then 17 minus 15. You know that? Right there. So I don't have to do any big multiplication because I'm factorizing the difference of two squares. So this is saying 32 times 2 is equal to X squared. Just giving you a little extra pushing. If I get a Pythagoras theorem and multiple choice exam, I want to set it up first and see what happens. Right? The moment I'm trying to find one of the short side, the difference of 2 squared can be used. It's going to be the root of 64, and everybody will know what is the square root of 64? 8. We didn't even do any big working, huh? Because we're utilizing other knowledge, bringing it in to what we have. So understanding that if you isolate this, it means the 15 will be subtracted, 15 square. Then you employ the difference of 2 square. Square root of 17 square is 17. Square root of 15 square is 15. Put a plus and a minus. Do the math. 32 times 2, 64. And we're done. Right there. Not a bad one. Now, next question says, the image of a point, right? The image of a point P is a negative 2, 3 under translation 3, 4. Anybody remember the concept? Yes. The image, watch this. The image of a point P under a translation is what? So we're saying that object plus translation give image. All right. So the image of the point P. P is the object. Under the translation. Remember we said we can add, you know. Remember you can add your translation to your object and it gives you the image. Negative 2 plus 3 Negative 2 plus 3. 3 plus 4. 1 at the top, 7 at the bottom. And it's not 1 over 7. So now, as a coordinate, this is 1 with a 7. I'm seeing D as the answer. So be careful. Read the image of a point P under a translation is what? So this is the object, right? And this is our translation. And then, as always, you can add your object and your translation, and you'll get the image easily. 57, almost at the end. Hold on. 57. If 57 refers to the diagram below, right? In the right angled triangle above, which trigonometric ratio is equal to 4 over 8? Which one? 4 over 8? I'll set it up. Remember now it's a right angle, so I'm going to write so, ka, tower. I'll stand here and see which one. So I'm going to write them down, and then I look if the answer is there. The sign of x is opposite, which is 4 over 8 over hypotenuse. That's the sign of x. You see, the moment I realize that this is there, I don't think I'm not going to search for the next one. I'm done. All right? Because there's only one answer is there for that. So I pick on that one, and I'm seeing opposite over hypotenuse, 4 over 8, and they're asking which one give 4 over 8. I'm not going to try to prove the rest. The answer is A. Transformation. All right, let's see what they want. In the graph above, the line CD is the image of AB. All right, so they're telling you. Oh, I see what this is. All right, so after what? CD is the image of AB. After what? Look, I'm seeing that this is a straight up reflection in the y-axis. See there? If you look, so if you want to employ the counting to the y-axis, all right? 1 in 1. Look at where this is. This is exactly here, and this is not even, this is right beside the 1 mark. So if you go with this, you will get that, you'll get that, and then that little tiny piece, you still see the little tiny piece. So that's a reflection in the y-axis, a reflection in the y-axis. And if they wanted to trick you, they could have said a reflection in x equals 0. Remember, x equals 0 is the same thing as the y-axis. So we want to make sure we own those ideas so that we can use them. Let's go again. 59, we're coming down. 59 says here, the line segment AD is rotated through 90 degrees, right? Through 90 degrees clockwise with the hand of a clock with about the point C, right? Now the coordinate A, the coordinate of A prime, the image of A are what? Watch this. Clockwise, hand of a clock. This is our clock counts. 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going like this. So this is going to come this way. That means this, look at this, is just going to come. This is 90 degrees from, look at the connection. 90 degree come here. That's 90 degree right there. So everything would have come this way. Like that. B, same thing, right? So what do they want? They want A. A is, I'm seeing 1, 2, all right? 1, 2. They only want us to find A prime. That's 1, 2, this. That's all they wanted. So you take a look at it, man. You know where it's going to go. It's a very simple thing here. That point will just come right here, right? I remember the idea that vertical horizontal lines turn vertical when you do 90, and vertical turn horizontal when you do 90. So you could actually, quickly move that, as well as you could connect to the center and make a 90-degree. It's a multiple choice. They're going to set it up so it works nicely for you. All right, number 60 and last, right? It says, in a triangle ABC, angle A is x degrees and angle B is 2x, right? What is the size of angle C? So if I were you, I want to set up, so it said, say if this is A, B, C, angle A is x and angle B is 2x. So if you want me to find that, I would have to add these angles and take it from 180. So it's going to be 180 minus the sum of x plus 2x. 180 minus 3x. There's the answer. All right, so that's just one set of paper. We have a lot coming tomorrow. We are on it, but we're not coming live tomorrow. We'll be in class. All right, for those who are in my class. Next week, Sunday, again, I'll come live for everybody. But pay attention to this, those who are near. All right, pay attention to that. Book your spot. See you guys next week. Bye-bye. Multiple